The way your customers perceive your product changes over time. And if you don't know how to adapt your messaging to match the stage of market sophistication your market is in, then your business will completely be ignored. And so today we'll be breaking down the 5 different stages of market sophistication with real-world examples so you can implement it in your meta ads strategy. And if you're new here, my name is Vincent and I've been running ads around 2016, where I scaled a e-com brand from 50K to 150K on a consistent basis with Google and Facebook ads. And ever since then, I started my agency called Chipper, where I help e-com brands scale their brand from 6 to 7 figures with Facebook ads while managing an ad spend of around 7 figures worldwide. So let's dive in. The first stage is just that there's no competition. You're the first that comes to market. So imagine that you've invented the first ever diet pill. No one has ever seen that type of product before, and customers, they don't need a lot of thinking or a lot of a push to get convinced to buy that product from you. The only thing they need to know is what the product will do for them. So at this stage, the marketing is super simple. You just introduce your product with a super bold claim of take this pill and lose weight. So people believe it because it's super new, and in general, they don't need anything else to be convinced to buy your product. At this point, you need to focus on the innovation of the product and you need to make a strong claim so that people get excited. But of course, this doesn't last forever. As soon as others see your success, they will come into the market and try to copy you, and that will be stage 2. Stage 2 of market sophistication is proof of claim. So now that other brands, they see your success, they start copying you and they start joining you in your market, your original messaging of take this pill and lose weight is no longer special because a lot of different people are already using it and people are copying you. So what you need to do now is stand out for your customers and from your competition, so people will come back to you. At this stage, your business needs to strengthen the claim. So instead of saying, take this pill and lose weight, now you'll be saying, lose 10 pounds in 10 days, guaranteed. Since every competitor is making the same claim, businesses, they need to focus on making their product seem better and faster. And the way you do this is by providing a lot of proof to up your credibility, to increase your authority. And you can do this even by specifics to validate that claim. So for example, you can say lose 10 pounds in 10 days guaranteed with our clinically proven formula. So stage 3 is a unique mechanism, or you introduce a new mechanism. The key focus is to highlight the how people will get results, how it will help them, or how you make that product. Customers, they're becoming more and more skeptical and they try to see something unique because there's more people coming into the market. Every single marketing messaging is looking the same. So the main thing that you need to do is introduce a new process or a new mechanism. So for example, lose weight with our patent fat burning technology. The goal here is to overcome a lot of skepticism with a new and exclusive approach, which puts you back into a different type of niche or a different type of spot into the market. Because everyone is saying, hey, lose weight, lose 10 pounds with our product, blah, blah, blah. But then you say, lose weight with our fat burning technology. The thing is, one of the biggest campaigns that actually pulled this off was in the tobacco campaign. I think it was either David Ogilvy, Claude Hopkins, or Eugene Schwartz that did this. It was in tobacco, they were all talking about smoking, that it's stress relieving, it tastes good, blah, blah, blah. It's not special. So what one of those 3 guys came up with is they did a lot of research in the production process and they found out that every single tobacco producer was toasting their tobacco. So what they did was, well, Marlboro or X brand, we're toasting our tobacco. That way it's a new mechanism, even though every single producer was doing it, but no one was communicating it. So they took that, our tobacco is toasted, skyrocketed the business again. So for example, again, with weight loss, what you can do is the patented fat burning technology, or if you have any other special ingredient for skincare or weight loss, you can include that. So lose fat with seaweed, because it's a new, unique mechanism. It attracts new people because they've tried a lot of different things already. Then you come into stage 4, which is basically the expansion of your mechanism. It's a bit the same as stage 2, but you combine stage 3, which stage 2, to introduce your new mechanism and put that stuff on steroids. So the key focus here is to refine your position. You know, customers, they're super aware of all the different options and all the different mechanisms. So now you need to showcase additional benefits or refinements of the unique mechanism. So again, with the fat loss burning technology, you can say, hey, lose fat with our triple action formula for weight loss and energy boost. And you can add certain things to it. They're clinically approved and they're patented. That way you have a new mechanism and you boost it with more credibility, more authority, and that way you basically differentiate yourself even further and satisfy demand for a new sophistication or a new mechanism. And then stage 5, it's basically market saturation. The market is completely saturated. There's not a lot of different things that you can do. Here is where identity comes into play. I'm always talking about identity hooking and how we use identity in ads to trigger people. So for example, with weight loss, you might want to hook your product to the ideal person or the ideal best version of your client, how it will look like. For example, if you're targeting women over 40 or 50, they want to look like a quote unquote, for example, a hot mom. So you use a hot mom in all your marketing, your photos, your videos, etc. Because then it solidifies their identity of being a hot mom and seeing a hot mom using your product. And the bridge to get there is basically your product. So that's where the identity, the emotions come in. So you basically tap into their emotions and their identity of their future selves or the way they want to fix a solution. So for example, with the messaging, you know, you focus on the emotions, the identity, and the transformation. So the end goal. So for example, you might say, with this product, you start feeling confident again, you become unstoppable. I can do things again, I can play with my kids, I can do my household, etc. So the biggest goal here is to resonate emotionally with the customer's desired self-image, which is their identity. That's what I'm always saying, identity hooking will always win. A lot of clothing brands use identity hooking. The example that I gave previously is Black Rifle Coffee. They just sell coffee. There's like Starbucks, you have a lot of different coffee brands, but the reason they're succeeding is because they took the identity of military people, police people, and integrated it into coffee. Because people that see brand A, regular coffee, or brand B, that refers to their identity as a military guy or a police guy, they will automatically buy brand B because they're way more entitled to, as well as they're way more resonating to that brand. And that is why it's super crucial to see in what stage of sophistication your market is, because you do not want to advertise in a stage 3 market with a stage 1 messaging. And so if you're in stage 4 or stage 5 market, you need to be really creative on what identity you want to trigger to scale your brand. And if you do that, you can scale your brand indefinitely. That's the same thing that a lot of smartphone producers did. You see like Apple, you see Samsung, OnePlus, Oppo, etc. The way I like to see it is you have Apple people, which is one identity, and you have Samsung Android people, that is another identity. Apple plays into this super well. You know, in the beginning, they were like, hey, this is an iPhone, you can text, you can do everything with just a small device that you can put inside of your pocket. Then they start talking about the size, the gigabytes, the processors, the cameras, etc. But now that doesn't matter anymore. Now they're focusing on identity. People that own an iPhone are good people, they are smart, they're bold, they're creative, etc. And they use all these things to put inside of their marketing. Samsung, Android is more of the nerdy type, a lot of geeks, a lot of computing, way more customizable, and they use that in their marketing. Exactly the same with a lot of sports brands. You have Nike, you have Adidas, you have Under Armour. Nike, if you look at their advertising, they're just completely inspirational, aspirational, with identity of like pushing the limits, pushing the boundaries. But then Under Armour, for example, the reason why they became so big was because they were focusing on the underdog. And a lot of people that felt like the underdog, a lot of teams that felt like the underdog, start to resonate with Under Armour and start buying their product. And so that is how you can use market sophistication inside of your advertising and really combine market awareness and sophistication with your copy, with your ads, to even create a bigger brand for yourself and just crush the competition. Now, if you would like more information about this or help setting up your campaign and scale your brand from 6 figures or 7 figures, click the link down below, book a call with me, and let's see how I can help you out. And of course, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. And I'll see you in the next one.